Nothing worse when someone is so woke and they're on this therapy journey and they expect you to be right there with them.
Kim Kardashian just humiliated Blake Lively on live TV, exposing her for shamelessly stealing her beauty brand concept. Blake's carefully polished image was already cracking, but now it's in full collapse. With one brutal takedown, Kim didn't just speak. She ended her. And Hollywood's watching the wreckage in real time.
She's the least exciting to look at.
Kim Kardashian, the woman who literally turned her name into a billion-dollar empire, just blew the lid off the industry by calling out a certain someone. And that someone just happens to be none other than Blake Lively. The same Blake who got a seat on Time's 100 Most Influential People list, right when her public image is leaking faster than a busted pipe in a Hollywood Hills bathroom.
Time magazine just announced the 100 Most Influential People of 2025. Wait, why is Blake Lively there?
Like seriously, Blake, you really thought you could ride a PR wave built on fake smiles, Pinterest boards, and cocktail mixer brands? Because from what we're seeing, the only thing you're influencing right now is how fast a reputation can crash and burn.
I don't normally wear feather numbers with cashmere sweatshirts at whatever time it is.
And you do all of your own styling.
And the best t-shirts from Skims, like when I'm telling you, they're thick enough.
Let's not pretend we're talking about two equals here. On one side, we've got Kim Kardashian, net worth $1.7 billion. She didn't stumble into that, by the way. She built it. With Skims, which is now worth a casual $4 billion, Kim has redefined the fashion and beauty game. She didn't just slap her name on some foundation bottles and call it a day. Nah, she did the work. She created a brand that speaks to millions. She's got inclusion, she's got innovation, she's got loyalty, and she's got receipts. Literally and metaphorically.
When was the last time you went somewhere where someone didn't know who you were?
You know what? In Japan, it's like that. You know, everyone's really respectful, even if they might recognize you.
Now let's take a hard look at Blake. She acts in a few rom-coms, marries Ryan Reynolds, posts some cottagecore pics, and suddenly she's the face of modern womanhood. Time magazine really handed her that title like it was a free Sephora sample and no one asked any real questions. Influential in what? In whispering behind the scenes and yanking the rug out from under other women when no one's looking? Because if that's the criteria, then yes, Blake's absolutely crushing it.
And then she said the Kardashians were so upset when their names weren't mentioned in Diane Sawyer, but it was all deliberate. We did research.
And let's talk about what really set the whole industry on fire, the fashion campaign from 2021. This wasn't just any brand collab. This was supposed to be iconic. Two powerful women, each from their own world. Kim from reality TV, turned luxury business queen, and Blake, the prim and polished Hollywood darling. It was supposed to be a joint venture, a message of unity. Except, Blake wasn't interested in sharing the spotlight. Nope. As the launch date inched closer, Kim's face started disappearing from the teasers. And then, she was erased altogether. No warning, no heads up, just full-on ghosted from her own campaign.
She feels inside so numb to the situation.
Why? Because Blake's team decided to go all Hunger Games behind the scenes. They pushed for new creative directions, snuck their girl into center stage, and made sure Kim's footage went straight to the digital trash bin. It's like Mean Girls, but with better lighting and bigger sponsorships. You know it's bad when insiders start whispering. And they weren't just talking, they were practically screaming. Apparently this wasn't some innocent mix-up, it was coordinated, it was sneaky, and it was classic Blake.
We all should respect Kim Kardashian.
Let's pause here and really take this in. Kim Kardashian, who could have clapped back instantly and turned this drama into another media circus, didn't say a word. She waited, sat in silence, collected her receipts, and then she dropped the bomb. And that's where things got real ugly for little Miss Blake Lively, because the world found out this wasn't just a one-time stunt. Nope, this was a pattern.
Well,
You
yeah,
see the movie.
I did see the movie. But I mean,
We're gonna give you a pop quiz.
there
at the
can be a
end.
pop quiz every minute of it.
Yeah.
It's
Now, on to the next chapter of embarrassment. The beauty brand scandal. This one deserves an entire roast of its own. So Blake, in all her original genius, launches a beauty brand, and surprise, it looks eerily familiar, like suspiciously familiar. Same packaging aesthetic, similar promo vibes, overlapping product concepts, and guess what? Kim's been sitting on planning documents and product prototypes that date months before Blake even dropped a teaser.
Downfall of Blake is super important because it represents our collective awakening, specifically to celebrities that we should not be idolizing, and they hate that.
And here's the kicker. Kim didn't just make noise. She laid out facts. When she exposed Blake for allegedly copying her blueprint, the internet exploded. Kim called out phony brand thieves without naming names, but let's not kid ourselves. We all knew exactly who she was talking about. And the fan base, they went feral. Memes, threads, TikToks, whole dissertations on how Blake Lively pulled the ultimate copy-paste move from Kim's empire.
She's the least exciting to look at.
But you know what really seals the deal? Blake didn't clap back with strength. She didn't deny it with poise or provide any actual proof of originality. No, ma'am, she broke down. And I don't mean metaphorically. Reports say Blake locked herself in her office, sobbing, refusing to see anyone. Because deep down, even she knew. Kim's not the one you mess with. Especially not when you've been lurking in the background, like some budget Miranda Priestley trying to steal notes off Kim's desk. And the irony. Blake always branded herself as the picture of grace, elegance, and effortless charm. But behind the scenes, calculated, controlling, and apparently completely out of original ideas. The public saw one thing: Blake smiling in ruffled gowns and sipping on lavender tea. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, she's allegedly plotting brand domination by copying someone who actually earned her seat at the table.
She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
And let's not forget the emotional manipulation act that came next. The whole "why is she doing this to me" routine that Blake supposedly cried out to her circle. Girl, you did this to yourself. You tried to snatch a throne that wasn't yours to sit on, and now that the queen showed up with receipts, you're shocked? If that isn't textbook audacity, I don't know what is. So here we are. Kim, standing tall with her empire, her credibility, and her consistency. And Blake, fumbling through lawsuits, collapsing PR, and a brand that's already cracking before it even cemented its name in the industry. You really thought Kim was going to let this slide? That she was just going to sip her Skims branded coffee and watch quietly as you ripped off her entire playbook? Nope. Kim is the storm. She's the blueprint. She is, quite literally, the woman who made contouring a global trend and built a billion-dollar empire from it. And Blake? She's the girl who got caught trying to Xerox that legacy with glitter packaging and some floral-scented branding. Blake might have fooled Time magazine with that PR push, but you can't fake influence in the court of public opinion. Not when Kim Kardashian's got the mic. Not when she's got the influence, the fans, the receipts, and the guts to use them.
Blake Lively slammed for disgusting and embarrassing inclusion on Time 100 Most Influential People list.
Blake Lively accused Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment and retaliation. Now, pause for a second. This is the same Justin Baldoni who literally made his entire brand about feminism, safe work environments, and emotional intelligence. So when Blake rolled up to court with these claims, the first reaction from the public wasn't exactly, "Wow, she's so brave." It was more like, wait, is this legit or just another Blake classic sabotage?
Blake Lively completely exposes herself.
And guess what? Baldoni's legal team didn't just roll over and cry into a pile of subpoenas. They came out swinging, accusing Blake of abusive process, because apparently, she filed an anonymous lawsuit under a shell company first. She pulled the old hide behind the curtain move. What kind of woman files legal paperwork anonymously and then later steps into the spotlight like it's an episode of Gossip Girl? Actually, yeah, that sounds exactly like Blake.
She's completely flirtatious with him.
Blake Lively completely exposes herself.
This isn't just messy. It's calculated. It's manipulative. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes nastiness that people are finally waking up to. And here's the best part. The court date isn't until March 2026. That means this legal soap opera is just getting started. Both sides are prepping for a full-blown war, and the public? We're front row with popcorn, because watching Blake try to wiggle out of this without tripping over her own lies is going to be the ultimate reality show. And she landed herself on the Time 100 Most Influential People list in 2025. At the exact same moment she's juggling accusations of brand theft, legal manipulation, and emotional breakdowns over being exposed by Kim Kardashian. That's when she gets called one of the most influential humans on Earth. Like, how? Did they mix her up with someone else? Because the only thing Blake has been influencing lately is how fast your brand can go from luxury to liability.
Blake Lively is, I'm calling her a titan. A titan is defined by a person of very great strength, intellect, or importance.
People were rightfully suspicious. The timing was sketchier than one of her PR statements. Critics immediately questioned how someone knee-deep in legal scandals, losing public support left and right, suddenly became a symbol of power and success. And let's be real, Blake's name has been trending more for lawsuits than for anything remotely inspiring. And of course, her loyalists showed up with their "but she does philanthropy" banners like that erases manipulation. Yes, Blake donates. So do most celebrities. It's the bare minimum. That doesn't mean she gets a free pass to allegedly steamroll people behind closed doors and still waltz onto prestigious lists like nothing ever happened. There's a difference between doing a good deed and being a good person, and trust me, the public can spot the difference now. The Time cover might have had her smiling like she's got the whole world figured out, but behind that smile, absolute chaos. And for a lot of people, that cover became a symbol of what's broken in the celebrity world: image over integrity, influence over ethics. And if Blake is the face of influence now, then influence clearly has a very low bar.
Thank you so much, Busy. We actually met on social media.
Meanwhile, while Blake's trying to duct tape her crumbling image back together, Kim Kardashian is sitting on a literal billion-dollar throne. Skims is currently worth $4 billion, not million, billion. That's with a B, by the way, which also stands for boss. Something Blake clearly misunderstood while she was busy lurking around Kim's brand deck.
And so, of course, I sent her my Vogue cover when it came out, an autographed copy. So it's really a trip to me that now I'm up here getting an award for fashion.
Kim didn't just inherit success, she built it. Brick by brick, scandal by scandal, launch by launch. KKW Beauty revolutionized contouring. Skims redefined inclusive shapewear. And Kim didn't cry her way into the spotlight. She earned it by grinding harder than most of Hollywood even bothers to. She's won the Innovation Award at the CFDA Fashion Awards, which is kind of like the Nobel Prize of Fashion, minus the tweed blazers and Swedish royal speeches.
This is seriously such an honor, so thank you to the CFDA for this award. I mean, it was maybe 7 years ago when I had a publicist, and she asked what was my goals, what were my dreams, and I said, I just want to be on the cover of a fashion magazine.
Kim's empire is based on strategy. Blake's on spin. You can practically smell the difference. Kim's businesses don't just look good, they perform. They serve real people, they address real needs, and they stand on actual consumer trust. Blake's brand? It stumbled out of the gate, got accused of being a knockoff, and is now buried under legal mess and internet dragging. And here's what's truly wild. Kim has never had to play the victim to get ahead. She doesn't go around planting sob stories or throwing lawsuits when things get hard. She confronts, she calculates, and she delivers. That's power. That's influence. Meanwhile, Blake is allegedly playing legal chess in the dark, crying behind locked doors, and calling her PR team every time Kim breathes in her direction. Let's be honest. We've seen this act from Blake before. The pristine image, the charming interviews, the "I just love to bake with my kids" energy. But now that the curtain's been yanked down, what are we left with? A woman accused of brand theft, caught in lawsuits, and writing on a Time magazine puff piece while trying to hide the wreckage behind her. And if she thought Kim was going to let it slide, bless her delusional heart. Because Kim is not just a brand. She's a force. She's the kind of woman who's been dragged through every media storm imaginable and still comes out shinier, smarter, and richer. Meanwhile, Blake? She's out here melting down in private and trying to patch up her influence with press fluff and damage control. The contrast couldn't be clearer. On one side, Kim Kardashian, the billionaire business beast with award-winning ventures, global recognition, and actual receipts to back every single claim. On the other, Blake Lively, trying to cosplay as an entrepreneur while her lawsuits stack higher than her hair volume. This isn't just two women in conflict. This is a full-on case study in what happens when one star builds an empire, and another tries to steal the blueprints, fail spectacularly, and then pretend she tripped into greatness all by herself. And Blake, if you're reading this, you might want to stop crying and start hiring a new strategy team. Because the internet has receipts, Kim has the influence, and your little fairy tale, it's not looking so dreamy anymore. Let's be honest. If there's one place where reputations go to either glow up or get incinerated, it's the internet. And right now, social media is a war zone. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, pick your poison. Everyone's weighing in, and Blake Lively, she's getting dragged harder than a bad wig in a reality show reunion. The hashtags say it all. Team Kim is everywhere. People are reposting Kim's quotes, breaking down timelines, and treating her like the whistleblowing queen she is. Meanwhile, Team Blake? Yeah, it's giving "we tried." Her fan base is desperately throwing out lines like, "But she's so charitable," as if one bake sale and a UNICEF repost erases brand theft, sabotage, and legal drama. Kim's supporters aren't just loud, they're clear. They're praising her for being real, calculated, and unbothered. The girl dropped her bombshells and walked away like it was another day at the office. That's what makes this even better. Kim didn't go on a tantrum tour. She didn't scream, cry, or post weird cryptic notes app apologies. She just told the truth, calmly and surgically, while Blake had a full-blown sob fest behind a locked office door. Blake's defenders? Look, they're trying their best. You can practically hear them in the background whispering, "But she's sweet, she's classy." Okay, sure. But this isn't a beauty pageant. It's about ethics. And when people started connecting the dots between Blake's beauty brand and Kim's original ideas, the classy narrative flew out the window. No amount of giggles and Instagram perfect tablescapes is going to fix that. What we're really seeing now is a bigger conversation. The public is finally done putting up with polished lies. People want authenticity, not a curated image built on passive-aggressive sabotage. They're tired of actresses who smile on red carpets and scheme in boardrooms. They're asking real questions. Who's actually creating something valuable? And who's just trying to coast off someone else's blueprint? And Blake? She's on the wrong side of that answer. Now, let's talk about the real damage. Because, it's brutal. Blake's hair care brand, which she launched with all the Pinterest core energy of a mason jar candle ad, is bleeding. We're talking a 78% drop in sales. That's not just a little hiccup. That's a nosedive so bad, it could make a CEO cry into their organic hair serum. Consumers didn't just walk away. They ran. And who can blame them? No one wants to support a brand whose founder is being accused of idea theft and shady business tactics. People aren't stupid. They see through the glitter. It's not just sales, either. Brands and collaborators are backing away like she's contagious. Word in the industry is that people are reevaluating their partnerships with Blake. which is PR code for "we want nothing to do with this mess." Agencies are pulling out, influencers are ghosting, and suddenly all those campaigns that were supposed to redefine modern beauty, gone. This is what happens when your reputation tanks harder than your shampoo line. Meanwhile, let's just glance over at Kim's side of the fence. It's basically a billionaire garden party. Her brands are not only surviving, they're thriving. Skims is rolling out new collections like clockwork, selling out faster than you can say shapewear revolution. She's collaborating with A-listers, scoring exclusive drops, and dominating every business headline worth reading. And no one's questioning her success. Why? Because she earned it. She didn't need to lurk behind someone else's vision and call it her own. That's the wildest contrast of all. While Blake is stuck trying to scrub mud off her career, Kim's empire is clean, polished, and expanding like it's allergic to failure. One woman used strategy and substance. The other tried to wing it with vibes and borrowed ideas. Guess which one won? This isn't about two celebrities fighting. This is a whole cautionary tale unraveling in real time. Fame without integrity, it collapses. Image without accountability, it backfires. The Blake Lively brand was built on this dreamy, effortless glow. The kind of woman who floats through life with perfect waves and a killer sundress. But behind that glow, chaos, lawsuits, copy-paste brand concepts, PR manipulation, and now, consequences. The difference is so stark it's almost funny. Kim has always played the long game. She's evolved, adapted, and survived every kind of public storm. She's turned scandals into strategy. Blake tried to coast on being likable and hoped no one would look too close. Well, they looked, and what they found? Not pretty. And what makes this even more deliciously ironic is that Blake tried to be this low-key power player. The whole "I'm above the drama" energy she throws out in interviews? Shattered. Because now she's the drama. All that calculated image building has gone poof in the face of a few hard truths and one very fed-up Kim Kardashian. The truth is, Blake might have fooled a few editors, tricked a few brand execs, and smiled her way into some magazine covers. But in the real world, people are done. They want real stories, real effort, real originality. Not some gossip girl turned businesswoman who allegedly swiped branding from a mogul and thought no one would notice. That's not empowerment, that's lazy. And worse, it's insulting to the women who actually put in the work. And here's the deal. You can't just charm your way through damage control anymore. The audience is smarter, the internet is faster. One TikTok thread and boom, the truth's out. And when that truth is about how you may or may not have tried to sabotage Kim Kardashian while cosplaying as an entrepreneur, good luck bouncing back from that. The message is loud and clear now. The public's not here for curated Pinterest princesses who crumble when challenged. They're here for substance, for people who actually create, innovate, and elevate, not for ones who hijack campaigns, copy brand strategies, and then cry about the fallout like they're the victim. And honestly, that's what makes this entire saga so satisfying to watch. Because for once, the polished lie didn't win. The real story came out. And Kim, as always, walked away not just untouched, but more powerful than ever. Blake thought she could play a quiet game of chess behind the scenes. Kim flipped the board, walked out with the crown, and didn't even have to look back. Blake might have had a reputation for being America's sweetheart, but now she's learning what happens when you cross the queen of calculated comebacks. And it's not pretty, it's not sweet, and it definitely doesn't come with a comeback arc unless you've got something real to show for it. And at this point, Blake's got nothing but damage, drama, and a disappearing fan base to her name. Blake's downfall is unfolding fast, and something tells us Kim's just getting started. Subscribe for more savage takedowns and insider chaos.